In episode 9, we're going to be talking about how to do calculations using decimals. And I'll tell you right now that most of the time when we're doing operations using decimals, we're going to be doing them on a calculator. Depending on the variety of calculator you're working with, it can be difficult to do operations with fractions on a calculator. But basically, every calculator can handle decimals really, really easily. So, for example, if someone says, okay, my bank account currently has $31.02 in it, then I get a deposit in the amount of $1,802.32. Then I go to the grocery store and I spend $352.67, these post COVID prices, right? So if that happens, how much is left in my bank account at the end of this process? To do this calculation, I would just say, okay, I start with 31.02, then I add $1,802.32 to my bank account, and then I remove $352.67 from my bank account. So if I type all of that into the calculator just as I've written it, 31.02 plus 1802.32 minus 352.67, the result of those calculations would tell me how much is left in the account in the end, $1,480.67. Or if someone says, hey, I'm thinking about um, taking a beam of wood, it is currently 2 feet, 2.95 feet long. And then I'm going to cut it up into pieces, and each of the pieces are going to be zero point zero 0.05 feet long. How many pieces can I cut from this beam, assuming that no wood is lost in the cutting process? Well, if I want to take a beam of wood and divide it into pieces of this length, then I can just use the operation of division. Take this amount of wood, divide it into pieces of length zero point zero 0.05, and this is an operation that I can do in the calculator. So I have 2.95 divided by zero point zero 0.05. If I enter that, I can get 59 pieces out of this chunk of wood here. So that's all. When we're doing operations with decimals, we usually just do them in the calculator to make our lives a little bit easier. Now, something to keep in mind when you're doing these calculations and you're checking to see if your answer makes sense. When you're multiplying by a large number, the result of that process is going to be big as well. And when you're multiplying by a very small number, the result of that calculation ends up being small also. So multiplication by big numbers gives you big answers. Multiplication by small numbers gives you small answers. But when you're doing division, it's kind of the opposite of that. If you have a number and you're trying to divide it amongst a very large number of people, then every single person is going to end up with a very small amount in the end. So dividing by a big number gives you a small result. But if you divide by a small number and you're trying to only divide among a small number of people or divide into very small pieces, dividing by a small number gives you a very big result. Like dividing by zero point zero 0.05 gave us a relatively large answer of almost 60 pieces. So if I'm doing a calculation like 3.156 times 0.002, I am multiplying by a small number, so I expect a small answer. If I don't get a small answer from this calculation of roughly 3 times this really, really small number, If I don't get a small answer from that calculation, I'm suspicious. I think maybe something has gone wrong. So let's type this into the calculator. 3.156 times 0.002. And sure enough, I've gotten an answer that is really quite small. My first actual digit is here in the thousandths position. So this is a really, really small value. Here, I have the number 41, and I am dividing it by quite a small number. 41 divided by 0.002. Because I'm dividing by such a small amount, I expect a really big answer from this. So let's go into the calculator and let's check and see if that's true. If I divide 41 by 0.002, I get about 20,000. So that's a really big result. So that makes sense. If you divide by a small number, you get a really big answer. Now in this case, I have a number that's roughly speaking 3 units, and I'm multiplying that by a really big number, 1,600 approximately speaking. So I expect a big answer from this because I'm multiplying by a really large number. And let's check see if I take 3 and some change and I multiply that by 1,630 and some change, then I get a really big answer of 5,000 and a bit more. But if I divide 41 by a really large number, if I divide 41 by a large number, then I should expect to get a small answer from that. And sure enough, if I divide 41 by this big number, I get a pretty small answer from that. 2/10, 5/100, and so on. So dividing by a large number gives you a small result.